in Sin City. I hope the management isn't listening, but I have to wonder whether the casino assumes that we're here mainly to feed their one-armed bandits or watch our cash spin away on wheels. I think not. You see, we have a basic awareness of mathematics, and we know that these palaces that surround us here on all sides are not built by winners.
Our thing is science education and skepticism and critical thinking. So skepticism is really just science. It's a scientific way of thinking, asking for evidence, looking for testable hypotheses, natural explanations for all phenomena. You start off with doubt because most ideas turn out not to be true. So skepticism is the default position, and the burden of proof is on the claimant to prove that their claim is true, not on us to prove that it isn't true. And so we're trying to change the world through better thinking. What's happened now is sort of a bottom-up, self-organized social movement that has generated itself without any top-down organizational impetus. I have no skills at this sort of thing, and it just happens on its own. There's like drinking skeptically and skeptics in the pub and skeptic Facebook groups, and that's what's driving the movement, is just people talking amongst themselves.
And how big is the movement?
How many atheists are there in America, or atheist skeptics, whatever? Probably 10 to 20%. It's 300 million Americans, so somewhere between 30 and 60 million skeptics in America. Now that's not card-carry members of any group, but there's a good market potential there.
And I have Jerry Andrus's optical illusion called the trizonal spacewarp. I'm going to spin this disc, and if you stare right at the center for about 30 seconds, just keep staring right at the center, when you look away, you'll have a temporary hallucination. Just keep staring right at the center, and in about 10 seconds, when you look away at something, you'll see this temporary distortion. So now look at the back of your hand or look across the room, and you'll see that it looks like the walls are...
Whoa!
We like to call these optical illusions.
That's very cool.
We really should call them our brain failures.
So it looks like the dragon's following me around, but actually it's just a paper cutout.
And if I move it far enough to the side, you can see it's nothing like the...
Yeah. But if we look again at how this guy follows us around, what's the connection with skepticism and magicians? It seems like quite a few magicians are also skeptics.
It seems that people who are well versed in the art of deception can notice when people are either trying to fool you or when people are fooling themselves, which actually happens even more often than people are being fooled. So.
And is there also a sense that a lot of religion in olden times might have been kind of illusion work that wasn't open about it?
Well, perhaps. I once saw a very good magician do a trick where he turned a clear glass of water into a very dark purple water, almost like wine, maybe turning water into wine. I think I've heard of something like that happening in the past. So.
Great. Do you think skepticism, or I mean, the skeptical movement is getting bigger? Do you think more people are getting into it?
I do.
And why is that?
You know, I think a lot of it is the internet. I mean, you know, the magazine, you know, we might hit 40,000 people with a magazine, and we come out 6 times a year. But on the internet, people, especially with things like Facebook, Meetup.com, people that we can't reach with a magazine or one of our conferences or events, you know, people now can just hook up with somebody in their own neighborhood like instantaneously. Before, we would mail out letters to our subscribers. Hey, if you want to join a Skeptics group, you know, fill out this form and mail it back to us. We'll hook you up with people in your area.
Yeah.
You can just do it out. You can do it now instantaneously, and I think, you know, it's growing that way.
So is one of the things that people seem to like from the skeptical movement the sense of belonging to a community?
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, that's, you know, I mean, I've been going to Skeptics meetings for years. I mean, my first one was 1983, and you know, people love to see friends. You know, you hear things like, I can't talk to anybody else that I know about these kind of issues. So when I come here, or come to other skeptical events, it's like I'm meeting my family. You know, and I literally have heard that word, I'm meeting my family.
Do you think that living a more skeptical life will also mean you live a richer or happier life?
Because I'm a skeptic, I have to say that I don't know the answer to that question, because I don't know if there's been any really good research on that. I think that in order to examine that question, you'd have to do a nice scientifically designed, you know, placebo-controlled, peer-reviewed study on, you know, the psychological impacts of skepticism versus non-skepticism, and I don't know if anything like that has been done. It would be very difficult to sort out the question of whether being skeptical and being a non-believer is socially supported, because as we all know, if you're living a philosophy or in a community that gets a lot of social support from mainstream society, you're probably going to be somewhat better off than people who are on the fringe and, you know, who are seen as outsiders. So that's a very difficult factor to filter out. All of that being said, I certainly found in my life that I live a much richer life and a much happier life basing my life in reality. And there's sort of two sides to that, and one of them is a very pragmatic side, and that's that understanding reality and understanding cause and effect means that I'm able to make better decisions. It means that if I understand what's really true, I can make better decisions about how to act and how to make things come out the way that I want to.
Ancient skepticism was when, as soon as the Greek philosophers had so many different philosophies that someone could just look up and say, they all sound good, maybe they're all wrong. They can't all be true. So maybe we're not figuring out which is the right one, but maybe they're all wrong. And ancient skepticism went on to say we can't know anything. We might even not be able to know cause and effect, since cause happens in 1 second and effect happens in the next second. I'm not sure how letting go of the penny is connected to the penny falling. And that's a level of skepticism which is a little bizarre and sort of foolish, but it shows you that when you really start asking how we know things, it's rather tricky. So one aspect of skepticism, as I said, is too many conflating things that can contradict each other and all seem true, right? Another part of ancient skepticism is just the fact that we can argue against most propositions. Give me a proposition, I can say the opposite. This is Sextus Empiricus. He's one of the most famous ancient skeptics. You can see one of his books is the theory of Epicureanism, because the older skeptic was Zeno, the skeptic, who was from Pyrrho, and that's why Epicureanism is also skepticism. Socrates was not a skeptic in his own time, but later he was backdated as a skeptical hero, because Socrates used to say, I'm the smartest person in the world because I know I don't know anything. At least I know I don't know anything. Everyone else thinks they know something, so I'm ahead of them, because they don't know that they're making assumptions.
What traffic? 15 other people here. You're first on the block to help us.
I've been asked to announce that my foundation, RDFRS, is partnered with MAAF, the Military Association of Atheists and Freethinkers. That's atheists and freethinkers in the United States military, we're partnered with them to send care packages to soldiers in the field, which include, of course, a certain amount of literature. I've been asked to ask you to, if you wish to enclose any messages of support to soldiers in the field to stop by the table of the Secular Coalition of America and contribute your message.
How many camps are there?
There are 10 camps in North America and then 3 camps in Europe. Education happens by events, so we have either speakers come in or we have activities, ethics games, things like that. The kids end up learning, they end up getting asked questions, sometimes about end-of-life issues and death and dying, and even the younger children, ages 8 and 9 and 10, are still able to participate in that and talk about their feelings about death and dying.
So is the idea that the children at the end of the camp will be stronger or better prepared not to believe in superstitions like you know, the afterlife, or?
That's part of the point of camp. They do come from typically non-religious backgrounds, so these children generally would not be taught superstition at home, but they are taught to question. So, for example, in Camp West, Minnesota has an invisible dragon, and the game that the children play during the week, and they're able to win a prize at the end of the week, is to prove that this invisible dragon exists, even though it's invisible and it floats. And the counselors participate in this game during the whole week too. So if they're at campfire and they feel a wind blow by, they'll say, "Oh, that was Percy the dragon. Didn't you feel us?" And the younger children, it gets them thinking about it. And it's interesting, the campers that come year after year, when they first start, they really want to believe in Percy. They you know, get emotional about it, and then they go on year after year, they realize it's just a game that the counselors play.
So no one's found the dragon yet?
Not yet.
Do you believe in the dragon?
Absolutely. Don't you?
And this is part of my atheism thing too, that atheism is better than agnosticism. Agnosticism suggests I have to believe every made-up silly idea that anyone comes up with. Blue giraffes are on the ceiling. Maybe. No. There's no evidence. That's why there's a flying spaghetti monster. That's why there's a flying spaghetti monster in a couple of different places, Futurama. I give as much credence to God as Superman. Maybe. I don't think so. And I go farther. There is no Superman. I know it was made up. I know when and why. And I know when and why God was made up, because I'm a historian. The older skeptic was Zeno, the skeptic, who was from Pyrrho, and that's why Epicureanism is also skepticism. Same, because I'm a historian.
When I hear the kind of theories of physicists, things like the multiverse or string theory, these are just as fantastical as anything that was ever in the Catholic Church.
I think not just as fantastical, 1,000
mind-blowing.
more fantastical for sure.
And not based necessarily on much evidence either. I mean, they're quite theoretical. They get quite metaphysical, right?
Right.
So is it necessarily any different? I mean, you know.
Is what any different?
Well, I mean, the kind of scientific theories of the universe are still pretty kind of mind-blowing and based on not much evidence. I mean, in other words, we don't know much about the universe. You know.
No, we know quite a bit about the universe, actually, a lot. But we also know how much we don't know, so that gives graduate students something to do.
But given how much we don't know, isn't it possible, you know, it's definitely possible that there is, you know, higher beings or intelligences greater than ours.
The more we know, the less likely that seems to be the case.
There's nothing out there more intelligent than us?
No, I didn't say that. You were referring to God.
No, I said higher intelligences.
for sure, I would guess there's a good chance of that.
Yeah.
Simply by the numbers, just the.
And so they might seem godlike to us because
that's
they're
right.
far superior to our
encounter them,
intelligence.
they will be godlike. They will be indistinguishable from anything we call God.
So there is a possibility of something that would seem like God
sure.
to us.
Yeah, but not in any kind of
perfect way.
Judeo-Christian, Muslim, omnipotent being.
Right. Okay. Cool.